Hi everyone, welcome to another week of trail runs on the podcast and also going out on YouTube on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. This week I'm joined by Rosie Holliday, who's a runner based just outside Carlisle in Cumbria, and she's taken on ultra distance runs. She's a teacher, a mum, loves running, and we're going to get more into her story and where it's taken her and how she ran throughout pregnancy and then has come back and is setting PBs as well. So thanks for joining tonight, Rosie.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your story. And I think I was thinking about when we sort of first came across each other and met, and I think it's worth sort of just mentioning it was at the Lakeland 100, and our paths crossed in a couple of ways, in that I think you'd already met Pip, who's my wife. You were cheering out on the course. And then I
think I met Pip, and I think it was your dad.
Yes, it would have been. They were at the halfway point, spectating and cheering. And then I actually met your husband.
Yeah, that's where I saw them.
And then I actually met your husband, Mike, on the course as well. And I remember it quite vividly. We were running down towards, I think it was in the later miles of the race, and I'd lost my handbook and road map. Like they'd blown away out of my pocket. And he knows the course quite well. And I remember him running past, and I was like, can I use yours to get me to the end?
Yeah.
And he was very kind, and he actually he was like, yeah, I don't need it, mate. And I was like, I definitely need it for like some of the later stages, because I have no idea where I'm going.
Yeah, I guess that's the benefits of living really close to the course year round, that we have that we can just go out onto it. So yeah, we are lucky that we do know it pretty well now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I sort of knew where I was going, but I wasn't 100% confident about which turning to take. So yeah, I was very lucky that he gave that to me. And then he finished a bit ahead of me, and then we met again after I think I'd just literally taken a shower, pretty much overheated and cooked myself in the shower, opened the door, and you were the first people walking past. And I think I was saying, help, I'm about to collapse, or something to that effect.
Yeah, you did look a very good colour, I have to say. I don't think you, but Mike had a similar experience. He ended up not feeling very well after that 100 race at all, and both wives were on standby to look after the runners. But yeah, I think that was the first time that I probably spoke to you. But yeah, you come round quickly, I'm sure.
Yeah, you kindly escorted me to the medical tent, and after a full MOT, I seemed to be okay. I think it was just a case of like blood sugar crashing, and after being out there for 24 hours or so, wasn't ideal. But yeah, I was just thinking about the sort of first time we met, and then I guess we've been following each other's running journeys ever since. And chatting, and I'm always inspired by seeing what yourself and Mike are up to in the Lake District, and very jealous about what you have on your doorstep, which always looks really cool. So I guess how did you get into running? Have you always been a runner?
So no is the simple answer. I'm a PE teacher, that's my job. So from a young age, I've always been really involved in all sports. And I think I've led a really, really active childhood growing up just outside the Lake District. I've got really active parents. They both now in their 60s and actually my dad's running a Lakeland 50 this year for the first time. So that's, you know, that's another side to it. They've got really into their running, but they're really active. So I think I've just, you know, I've always enjoyed sport, and then probably did a little bit of running when I went to university, but literally just out the door for a bit of fitness. And that was it really. And then played hockey and netball till I was into my late 20s. And then in 2013, I had quite a serious knee operation from an injury that was from playing football, actually. And I got into parkrun to get my fitness back. And that was really, I think, from there where it started. And it got to the point where I was playing hockey for a club in Carlisle, really enjoying it. It's where actually I met Mike. And it kind of got to the point I was enjoying my running more, that I was turning up late to hockey practice because I was going on a group run with my local running club. So I'd turn up to hockey practice an hour late and I'd wonder where I'd been, and I'd actually been running. And it came to the point where I was just wanted to run more and play hockey less. So it kind of just evolved like that naturally over a few years. But then when I was 30, when I was turning 30, and I kind of done a little bit more running, was really enjoying parkrun. And I decided I wanted to run 30 miles for my 30th.
As you do.
And I'd never run a half marathon before. But I don't know, I'm not somebody that's into like big partying or things like that. I just love being outside, and I felt like I wanted to do something. And Mike and his twin brother Craig had run Kielder 50k the year before, and I just thought, oh well, why not? So I got my younger sister in tow as well, and we did it, and we trained for it, and we did it. And so that was nearly 6 years ago now, and that was my first, well, apart from a 10k I'd run in Edinburgh, I think that was only my third race.
Wow.
And it was just something about being out for that time. And I don't know if you ran around Kielder before, it's an amazing place. And it was from that, and it's just grown and grown and grown. And yeah, that's where it's come from, I think.
That's awesome. So yeah, I have run around Kielder. I've done the marathon actually, which was good fun. I just did it, you know, for a bit of fun. It wasn't a competitive PB seeking race or anything like that. And it's a beautiful place to run. I can definitely see the attraction. So you hadn't been running very long, and you sort of jumped straight into the 30 miles. What I'm intrigued though, what was the attraction to running over like hockey and, you know, that side of things?
That's a really good question, and it's actually something I've really thought about. I think hockey was taking up a lot of time at the weekend, which is quite funny to say now, because now I run like 50k races, which is a lot longer than a game of hockey. I think it was the personal challenge. I really like team sports, and obviously being a PE teacher, I still really enjoy team sports, and, you know, I get a real buzz out of playing team sport. There was something about that individual challenge for me, and I think I could see myself improving all the time, week on week. I was getting, you know, I was finding it easier to run a longer distance. I would never say I was a quick runner. I'm not a quick runner, but I was just enjoying the progress I was making, and I just was getting much more satisfaction out of that than actually playing in a team sport. So I think it was a real like individual thing. It wasn't that I was unhappy playing hockey, because I really enjoyed playing hockey, and I still would love a game of hockey now, but it was just that simple thing of, it's just you, and it's the running, and it's you, and it's getting out, and you can do it anytime. And, you know, I found myself going out in the middle of the week for another run, and it built up like that. And then I became part of our running club in Carlisle called DH Runners, who were amazing. And I really do think that parkrun played a huge part in it as well. I think parkrun is just fabulous, and our community in Carlisle is amazing. And I think that played a big part as well.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. I think parkrun is a big catalyst for a lot of people, actually. I for myself, I was sort of involved in a running club, but then got into parkrun quite early, sort of 2012 when it started around here. And that's how I got to meet a lot more runners within the community. And, it's a good chance to sort of see where you are every week with your training and benchmark yourself. And you're still very involved in parkrun, aren't you?
Yeah, so now I've actually, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but I actually wrote about parkrun and pregnancy, which felt to me like a real icing on a cake, because I just think parkrun's amazing. So when they asked me to write that, it was really quite special. And I've now gone on to run direct a number of times at Carlisle. Up until obviously this time last year, we were there every single Saturday morning without fail. I volunteered many times, and we've got just a real community there. And we do parkrun, and then we go for breakfast every single week. There's 20 of us, and it's like, that's probably the biggest thing I've lost this year, and I've felt that I've missed out on. And the 4th of June for us can't come around quick enough to get back there. And I wouldn't say though I always enjoy running parkrun. I think 5Ks, it's an interesting distance, but I absolutely love it. I just love the whole community spirit of it. I just think it's brilliant. It's wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that, and I know that from my own experience as well of doing parkrun and meeting people. Do you do much sort of parkrun tourism? Do you go and visit other places, or are you pretty much?
Yeah, so we pretty much stay at Carlisle. I've done what have I done? Like Keswick, obviously, Penrith. So in the local area. I've done one in London, and I've actually a couple of years ago I did one in Southampton. That's where my grandparents lived, and Carlisle has about 200 to 250 runners each parkrun. At Southampton there was 1,000. That's a completely different experience. So yeah, but that is something I would definitely like to do it more of. But then I feel like I would miss out on my Carlisle parkrun. And
true.
I love it. But we've done some, actually. I've done Winlander, which is good as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I've done a few in different places like Keswick, and whenever we're away, I do have a look and just see if there's one that I can go and visit and see if I can check out a different course, which is quite cool to do. But yeah, it's also interesting what you say about the 5K distance. Does that mean that you're now in the ultra running mindset where a 50K or 50 miler sounds a lot easier than doing a 5K?
Yes, 100%. There's no doubt in my mind. I would rather plod away all day and into the night than try and run as fast as I can on tarmac. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't appeal to me as much anymore.
No, I know that feeling.
I think that's maybe like come with. Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying.
I mean, I did like I did like a 10K on the road, like a time trial. And actually I enjoyed it probably more than I thought I was going to. But it's not something I think I'll go back to really.
Cool. Wait, when was that? Recently?
Yes, I did it as part of a relay for the Icodon Marathon. So if you've heard that, the A6 were doing like a relay thing, so as part of a relay team. And what was really cool is our relay team was all over the country. And actually knowing that your time was going towards like a group goal was like such great motivation. So I just went for it because I thought everyone else has tried really hard. I have to try really, really hard here. So that was good. And I think our team came in like 2 hours 50 or something for the overall time.
That's where you collectively
so that was good.
Collectively run a marathon distance, right? So 2 hours 50 is impressive.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. There's some fast runners in our there was some fast runners in our team.
That's awesome. So let's go back to you entering a 30-mile race just for a bit of fun after just sort of taking up running. What did your training look like? Did you know what you were doing, or were you doing it more ad hoc and just sort of getting by?
I mean, I think I knew it was going to take a long time. So I knew that I had to try and end up my miles. And I remember one day that I think my mum dropped me and my sister off along Hadrian's Wall, and we ran all the way back to Carlisle. So I definitely remember doing a 24-mile training run at one point. I can't really remember much else about the training apart from that one run. So nothing like what we do now or what I do now. Yeah, we just kind of like went from it day to day really, and just thought it'll be all right on the day, which is not an attitude that I now have. But I think I don't know, my brother-in-law said to me, and I always think of this now, whenever I'm doing any kind of race or a run, it's a day out. It is a day out. Enjoy the day out. Whatever happens, just enjoy the day. It's a day, enjoy the day out. And that's something that's just stuck with me in everything I've done. And it came from that race, really. You know, for me, I can't think of a better thing to do than the day after my 30th birthday, run around Kielder with my sister. And we just talked and ate, and it was great. We had a really, really great time, and it was a great day out, and that's what we set out for it to be.
That's a really cool way of looking at it, and I think that a lot actually. If I'm doing something that's hard or tricky or long, just look at it as a long day out with your mates on the trails or the fells, whatever it might be. That's what we enjoy, right? So enjoy it and don't fret about it too much. I think it's a great philosophy to have.
Yeah, I think when you start to put more pressure on yourself, that's when your thing can potentially go wrong. That in my opinion, I try to kind of take the pressure off, especially on the really long distances. So yeah, that's definitely something a mantra that I always think about whenever I'm going running.
No, that's really cool. So where did running take you after that first experience of sort of diving in at the 50K? Where did you kind of go with it next? Did you think I want to do more of that? I want to go longer. I don't know. I didn't enjoy it. What?
Well, I obviously, I loved it. It was great. And I thought, right, let's, I'm really enjoying this now. So let's keep going. So I think, from then, we've got it's on the road, but there's a local half marathon that a lot of people in Carlisle do, and you run out of the middle of the castle. So I did that quite a few years on the trot and really enjoyed it. And then from then I became a fully fledged member of our running club in Carlisle. So I was then running with them twice a week, and there was bus trips to half marathons, and it just kind of built from there. And then obviously I was living to the Lake District. We started looking at races in the Lake District. So I started entering some of the Lakeland Trail events locally. And, before I knew it, that the trail just became more appealing to me than the road. I think it's the scenery. I think it's the variation of the ground. As I mentioned before, I had quite a serious knee operation in 2013. So I actually find the trails less impactful on my knees. When I had this operation, I had no idea that I would be able to run up to 50 miles, which is pretty incredible job that the surgeon did, really. So yeah, it just kind of went from there. And then I think one of the biggest influences is my husband, Mike. He got more and more into it, and it just became the thing that we talked about all the time. What race have we seen? What should we do this weekend? Where should we go and run this weekend? And it just evolved like that, really like organically. And it just became what we did, what we were about, really.
That's really cool. Yeah, I I was going to say what made the trail more appealing than the road, but you pretty much summed it up there, I think. You know, what you love about it. And was I'm interested, was Mike much of a runner back then, or was he getting into it at the same sort of time as you?
Yeah, I would say probably similar. So I met Mike playing hockey. So he was really sporty, but at that point, Mike was also playing a lot of cricket. And Mike had a serious accident on his toe, where he lost his big toe in an accident, and didn't think that potentially running was ever. He was, you know, he probably never thought at that point in time that was something. Running was going to be something that's going to happen for him. And you know, he had an operation, and you know, he still has his big toe, which is extremely lucky. And it just became like, again, a natural thing for him. He was playing cricket, but then he got more into his running. And it was just really natural. And I think for Mike, it's just become like, for him, it was like an untapped talent, really, for all those years. And he, you know, before we knew it, that's just what we were both doing. We weren't playing cricket, we weren't playing hockey, we were just running. And it was something that we could do together with the dog. And I think for us, just having the Lake District on our doorstep is like just the biggest pull to want to be out in the mountains. Like there's nothing more better than just getting out in the hills and just going for a run. And it just evolved like that for him as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. Having each other sort of inspire each other and push each other along and plan adventures and things like that. You know, that sounds like a really cool thing to be doing. So where did you go distance wise when you got into it? Because you've done, like, I know that you've done 50-mile events and sort of longer. Was that always an aim that you were going to do, or?
Not really. Well, not really. I think I was enjoying trail half marathons. I was enjoying trail 10Ks. I was like, this is fine. I'm running, you know, I'm not somebody, wasn't someone that was winning events or anything like that. I was mid-pack, but just loving it, absolutely just enjoying it. And then obviously we'd heard for years about this event called the Lakeland 50, Lakeland 100. And I'd heard someone do it before. And Mike just came home one day and said, I've signed up to this Lakeland 100. He'd never run 50 miles before. And it's 2 weeks before we get married. So I was like, okay. Anyway, so obviously went down to the Lakeland 100 and supported and crewed Mike and just like caught the bug. I mean, I was, you know, for anyone that's experienced the Lakeland weekend, it's just, there's nothing like it. It's just brilliant. And I remember Mike finishing the 100 and someone saying to me, oh, Rosie, what about the Lakeland 50 next year? And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. There is no way. I've run 30 miles. No. And then 4 weeks later, I'd signed up. So yeah, it wasn't, I was fairly happy with what I was doing. And then I just got inspired by Mike and by the event. And then obviously in the preparation to that, I then obviously ran more ultras. And then since then, it's just obviously taken off from there. But yeah, it was a very quick turnaround in terms of me not doing it to signing up, which actually I think happens for a lot of runners.
I was going to say, I was going to say, I don't think you're on your own with that one. I think so many people say never, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, I thought about it for about a day and then ended. Yeah. I think the Lakeland as well as an event, I've done it a couple of times and it is brilliant. And I think for anyone who's there as a runner but spectating, it can only inspire you to want to get out there and run it. There's something about the atmosphere and everything that comes with it. It'll be interesting to see how it is this year with everything that's going on. Could be a different beast, but
yeah, I think possibly, actually, I didn't mention this before, something else that it really inspired me was we'd gone on holiday to Chamonix 2 years in a row before Mike had done the 100. Oh no, yeah, 2 years, and we'd gone at UTMB week. So again, it was that, like, just being inspired by being amongst that kind of community and that kind of event. And I was like, I just want to be part of this. I just want to know what it feels like to, like, run underneath that arch, or know what it feels like to have completed 50 miles. Like, I was just curious, can I do it? How does it feel? You know, and it was just like, I was so intrigued by the whole thing. I was like, I've just got to be part of this long distance running. I just have to do it.
How was the 50?
So, well, I actually, 8 weeks before I ran the Leighton 50, I found out I was pregnant.
Wow.
Which wasn't a complete surprise. I always knew that potentially it could happen and it would be a possibility, but you don't always know how things are going to turn out. So it wasn't going to be the case that I wasn't going to sign up for the Leighton 50 because I might be pregnant. I just thought I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So yes, that did add another dimension to it.
And I guess, how did you feel going into that, knowing you know you had that news? Were you, was it nerve-wracking?
I think I've been asked this quite a few times by a lot of people, and no, I just had this feeling that it was going to be, I just trusted my body. I'm very lucky in that I have a very medical family, and I told them that I was pregnant and I was still going to, I think my dad said, but what about this race? I said, well, I think I'm going to go for it and just and see, and being a bit naive and not really knowing much about pregnancy. And it was going to fall at a 10-week mark, not the 8-week mark, which seems like a little bit more frightening. And what I did find, that there was just no information out there about long distance and pregnancy. There was a lot about running and pregnancy, which is great, but actually in terms of like the long distance, there wasn't really much information. So I just had to go off that training block I had before, which I did have to dampen down a bit, but I just always thought in my head, if I feel okay, the baby's okay. If I feel okay, the baby's okay. So every training run I did from then, I was probably, I just put the miles in. I wasn't bothered necessarily about the time or anything like that. I just wanted to do it. It was an interesting time. I felt sick. I was coming home from work. I was sleeping for half an hour and setting an alarm and then going out to the fells for an hour's run. But for me, it was the right thing to do. And I think on the day, I just kept thinking, if I feel okay, that's it. And if I don't feel okay, then I'll be worried. But I knew if I ran really within myself, then things would be okay. And I'm very lucky, and they were.
And how did the race go for you? Did you manage to enjoy it at the same time as, obviously having a bit of a worry there and everything else that comes with running a long distance? Yeah. It's a challenge in itself. Let alone if you're, you might have sickness or whatever it might be as well, that adds into the mix.
I think, I felt absolutely fine. And I think that's running in pregnancy, and especially in urban pregnancy, isn't for everybody. And that's absolutely the right thing to say. But I think what I would say from my experience is that if you feel like you can do it, then you should feel empowered to do it, because, you should be scared. And that's what I kind of want to get across when I talk about it, is that you should feel, there shouldn't be a stigma that because you're pregnant that you can't do these things. Your body is amazing. So on the day, I felt really good. I probably the thing I was most worried about was sleeping the night before, because we made the decision to camp. But I slept really well. We camped the night before. I slept really well. I woke up, I felt great. I actually ran it with my sister, like I'd run the 50k. She's actually a doctor, so that's handy.
Okay.
And yeah, again, we just enjoyed the day out in the hills. And not saying I put it to the back of my mind, but I kind of did actually. That's me being brutally honest. I kind of thought it's okay. The baby's well protected in there. Enjoy it. Enjoy this moment. You've worked hard. You've wanted this for a long time, and it's okay to want this and to be pregnant. And you know, and that's an okay thing. We just made sure we ate really well. We drank really well. We took it easy when we needed to. I do think that I ran a time that I'm doing the Leighton 50 again this year. You know, I'm going to have to really try and knock a big chunk of time off. And I did probably run within myself, so I was more cautious, but it didn't take anything away from the event and how I look back on it. I just think it was amazing day. And the fact that now Alf, who's 2, was there too, that's just really cool.
Yeah, that's an awesome experience. And you know, hopefully, or you know, perhaps he'll be inspired when he's older, knowing that, you know, he's already been around that course, which is, you know, beautiful course, and quite a challenging one as well, to be fair. It's not an easy 50 miler.
No.
So certainly one to you know, to dip your toe into the water with for a long event. So did you carry on running for a while after that then? How did your sort of journey go from that point?
Yeah, so I think obviously I'd done that, and I remember about 4 days after it, I just went out and ran 5k, and I was like, I'm one of these people that after a long distance event, like the next day I have to be active in some way. I find for me that's just the best way to recover, is just to keep moving. And 2 weeks after the Leighton 50, we had the 12-week scans. We were able to tell everybody, which is, some people said it was a real shock because of what I just done, but you know, that was okay. And then, I don't know, because I'd done that, I just felt like totally empowered to just keep running. And I was extremely lucky. I had a very low risk pregnancy, and I just ran the whole pregnancy. And as I said, I was extremely lucky. It just really felt to me like an extension of my body. It didn't feel uncomfortable. It didn't feel unnatural. It felt, for me personally, completely the right thing to do for me and my body. And I think if I'd stopped running, I think it would have been detrimental to my health in terms of my mental well-being.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for, you know, I'm sure a lot of people agree with you about running and mental benefits as well, especially through the periods of time that we've just been through over, you know, the last 12 months with not being able to see as many people, socialize as much, you know, being confined to your local area, your house, whatever that may be. And, you know, there's all of those things, and then pregnancy and everything like that, you know, it really does help, just getting out and moving. And you don't have to be smashing a 5k personal best. You can still get out there and run and just enjoy it. So yeah, no, that's so cool to hear. And how long did that go on for, in terms of running?
Till I was 41 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
I mean, don't get me wrong, as you just said, like I wasn't going out smashing 5k PBs. I wasn't, you know, you sometimes see on the news these athletes on the track with these, you know, it wasn't like that for me. It was club runs. It was, I think probably the longest I ran was like 6 or 7 miles really, but then it just became a regular 5k twice a week. And I just had to keep moving. I had to keep moving. And, you know, again, parkrun was really instrumental, because the later stage of my pregnancy, it was dark early at night, so I didn't feel comfortable. The only time I felt uncomfortable was going out running in the dark with a bump for safety in case I fell over. So really, parkrun was enabling me to keep running in a safe environment. And I had a goal that I wanted to reach my 100th parkrun before the baby arrived. So I set myself that little goal, and I achieved that. And then once I achieved that, I just thought, oh, well, why should I just stop? Because I feel fine, and the baby seems fine. And obviously I checked with the midwives, and they were happy. And, you know, for any woman who's gone overdue, you know, I really would have done anything to encourage that baby to come out. And so, yeah, I ran parkrun at 41 weeks pregnant, and was, you know, it was great.
That's so cool. And then how long after that did Alf come along?
So it was, our cover was blown because I ran parkrun at 41 weeks pregnant on the Saturday, and the following Saturday we didn't make it because he was born the following Saturday.
So,
but yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, so everyone knew that that he was on his way.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is I listen to is it the Sports Medicine podcast. There's a couple of podcasts which are really useful for me as a female runner and going through pregnancy. So I tried to like get as much information as I could about the positive side of it. And there's positives if you've got a low risk pregnancy for the mum and the baby. And I've since done quite a lot of research into that. And actually that's something that maybe individually I'd maybe like to do more research into it and learn more about. I think it's an area that's not really discussed very often, and something which I think is important, that we should try and empower women and mums to feel like it's something positive that they can do for themselves and their babies.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when I was looking at your running and your progression, that's something that really stood out, was the way you sort of kept running through pregnancy and, and done the ultra as well. Do you find there's much more around now about sort of long distance and pregnancy? Is that still sort of a small subject?
I think people like, Jasmine Paris doing, loads, and Sophie Power.
Yeah.
There's much more out there now. I think, which is wonderful. I think sometimes what I found difficult to relate to is like Jasmine Paris is like a super incredible, amazing athlete, and I'm a PE teacher from Carlisle, and sometimes it can be hard to relate to that. But I was like, if she can do it, then yes, I can give it a go. So I think there's a lot more discussion about it now, which I think is great. And, I've spoken to other people similar to me who are mums. And one of my friends said to me, oh, you just get this superpower for your running when you become a mum. And I was like, what are you talking about? But I honestly think that I've become a better runner since I've become a mum, 100%.
Really? That's really interesting to hear. Yeah, it would be cool to kind of get a bit of insight into why people think that might be, or like a study into mums and their running. When did you get back into it after having Alf then?
So I had an emergency cesarean, which I was, when I suddenly realized what had happened, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a long time. But I think because I had kept so active throughout my pregnancy, my recovery was really, really quick. And there's a guidance out there that say women shouldn't be running till 6 months after their child is born, medical advice. But I ran 6 weeks after my cesarean, because it just felt right for me. I think that's what I really just want to get across. It's what is right for you, and it was absolutely the right thing. And I ran parkrun at 7 weeks after I'd had Alf, and then I think I ran a half marathon, 4 months, trail half marathon. So I was very lucky. I had a really good recovery from the cesarean, but I do think it was because I had kept so active. And I also think, I did have a difficult birth, and I just drew a lot of my experiences from running to that. Like, you've ran 50 miles, Rosie. You've ran 50 miles. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. So I think the two things have constantly, and even throughout the last couple of years, just worked hand in hand together, which has been great.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear. and that, you know, I do think it's very important. Everyone is different, and there's no one size fits all or anything like that. So it's, you know, it's amazing to hear that you were back into it so quickly. And what do you think when you say you're running, you're a better runner now? What is it that makes you feel that? What sort of things?
I think I'm better with my time now. I think time on my own is much more precious. So I want to make the best of what I have, because the other part of me, the mum part of me, is as important. But I also recognize that this is something that I need to do for me. I've also read about studies that say that after pregnancy, that, you know, actually women, if you're prepared to train for endurance events, you can start to reap the benefits of increased blood volume and lung capacity from pregnancy, and you can actually build on that. Whether or not that's happened for me, you know, without doing a physiological study, I wouldn't know. But I just think, yeah, I'm more focused. I'm more focused in my training. The time that I have when I run is really important to me. It's become, I'm not just, you know, I'm Rosie the runner, but I'm also mum, and it's fine to have both those things. And, you know, I'm like with any parents, it's a balancing act all the time. But I think I recognise that, and that's why I think I've got better, because I'm much more focused on the time that I do have. And you also want to make your child proud.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and a great sort of sentiment around that as well. And does Alf enjoy your outdoor adventures and your, you know, knowing that you run?
Yeah, I think so. Like the other day we were in a park and this man ran past and he's like, "Dad, running." And I was like, "That's not your dad." You know, and he recognizes now when we put on running clothes, and he's like, "Mum, run." So he knows. And, you know, he ran, I ran with him in the buggy, the Lakeland one, the year after he was born, which was like really like emotional, actually. That was the year that I met you. You know, here he was a year ago, was in my tummy. Now we're doing the Lakeland one together. You know, all being well, this year he will walk, run it himself. And I just think, like, we've just shown him, you know, from really early on that is part of our lives, and it's a great community to be part of. And, you know, he'll be great whatever he is, I'm sure, and we'll support him. But if he did get into running, then that would be great too.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's hard to know, isn't it, whether kids will be interested in those sort of things. They might totally rebel against it, but you know, it's cool if they do appreciate it as well.
Yeah.
What does your average training week look like these days then, kind of fitting it around being a full-time PE teacher, mum, everything else that you have going on?
So I would say until the start of this year, I've been very, I'm not going to say lazy, relaxed with my training. Oh, I've just got, okay, I haven't run yesterday, I'll just go out today for 40 minutes, like no structure, just because it's had to be flexible because of work and health and things like that. But then I've done a couple of races last year, which was good. But then I decided in January that I was going to do Red January. I've never done it before. And before I knew it, like by the end of January, I realized I can find at least half an hour every single day, because I've proven myself that I can do it. So now I'm training for the How Girls Marathon on the 9th of May. Looks like that's going to go ahead, which is great. So I'm actually now on a training program. I have a structure. So what does it look like? Monday, you have a rest. Tuesday, I do some like hill sessions. And then Wednesday, Thursday, I kind of do it a little bit more flexible. You know, go out, do 40, 50 minutes. What I've been trying to do is to find where can I fit in the runs in the day. So can my mum look after my son for an extra hour? Can she hold him on until 5 o'clock rather than 4? And can I run then? So it's all the time looking, where is the gap? And I think if you look hard enough and you want it enough, there are the gaps there to be able to fit it in. And then the weekends, obviously, my husband Mike, he's training a lot. So we do things like one of us will run to a park. We'll meet everybody there. We'll all go to the park together, and then one of us will run home. So it's things like that. So that's how we're trying to build it in, and just trying to up the miles at the weekends, get out for longer distances at the weekend.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool way of looking at it, especially if you can balance it around family time, and tie it into other things as well. And then you're ensuring that you're getting your training done, and you're not impacting on your day too much as well. Whatever else you might have to get done in the day. How's the training going?
Yeah, it's been really good. I did another half marathon 2 weeks ago. I think the problem is I obviously have started on this training, and now I've got a bit of a niggle in my knee because I'm doing a bit more. So yeah. I've got to do more stretching, some more strength and conditioning, which is, I know everyone's like, oh dear, strength and conditioning. It's finding ways to make that interesting and engaging. But so far it's going well. Obviously with the slight easing of the restrictions, we feel now that we can probably travel into the Lake District. We've not been to the Lake District since December.
Yeah.
So this weekend, myself and my husband, we're going to get out on Saturday onto the Lakeland 50 course, because he's running Lakeland 50 again this year. So it'll be really nice to run together. But yeah, it seems to be going well. I feel a bit more organised. I've got myself like a training journal. I'm writing things down. I'm researching nutrition. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel really focused at the minute on what I'm doing, which is really good. And I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's awesome. So good to hear. And in January, you, as well as running every day, didn't you go and smash a half marathon PB as well?
Yeah, so I ran every day in January. And yeah, then the last day of January, I've got some friends and we just thought, oh, should we just do this Cumbria run, so half marathon route just around Carlisle, and we'll set off at half-hour intervals, and we'll set up a WhatsApp group. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And the Cumbrian run route is quite hilly. It's a road half marathon. And I thought, I'll just set off, see how I feel. And it got to halfway. I was like, ooh. It's to get a bit interesting towards the end. Yeah, and yeah, I set a half marathon PB at the end of January after running every day in January, which I was really shocked at, because I didn't. It's funny, isn't it, when you do all that running, you don't know, am I going to be really tired and my legs just going to be like, no, you've done too much, or is it going to be like, right, let's go? And it was the latter, which was, I was really pleased about. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much of a PB was that for you? It
was about 30 seconds. But
that's not bad.
The PB that I'd run before was 2017 on a flat course. So to run, after everything that's gone on the last few years on a hilly course, it really boosted my confidence, which is great.
I guess that's also without really training for it as well.
Yeah, because I've done a lot of off-road stuff. Yeah, I wasn't on a training plan or anything for that. So I think like what I've learned in the last few years is like if I can get myself organised and put a bit more structure, then I can improve. And just because my lifestyle's changed now, I've got a child, it doesn't mean that things stop. It means that actually you can still improve, and there is still things that you can do. And myself and Mike, we ran Ultra North in October, and I came first. I've never ever been first in a race before, ever. So I think, like, I know I was saying before about how I think motherhood's made me a better runner. I've got more focus, and I've had these good results, and it's really just boosted my confidence.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you about that one actually, as well before we sort of finish up. But yeah, I mean, how was that sort of, coming in a podium position, and what was that experience like?
Well, obviously we'd not raced for a year. I think the race I'd done before that, I did the Cumbria Way 30 last September, and I'd done a 10k at Dalemain in last February, and I'd had I was really pleased with my position and my result there. And then obviously we've had the pandemic, and I don't know, I think for some people, for me again, like, you know, there's not been really much else to do apart from try and get out running locally. So yeah, it just came up. One of our friends was involved in the organisation of it, and we just thought, oh, why not? And we didn't really know if it was going to go ahead, didn't really know much about the route. And yeah, and obviously it was the first year of it, so the field wasn't really very big. They set you off in a staggered start, so it was difficult to know exactly like where you were in the race, because you were staggered. But yeah, it was completely honestly unexpected, and I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah, so cool. How did you find the staggered start? I did a race like that last summer, and I quite liked the fact that I didn't know where I was in the field at all until I crossed the line at the end. It just made it a bit more enjoyable than trying to race and compete against people and put a load of pressure on yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was like also the novelty of like doing a race, like wearing a race hat, putting a number on, and you were like, oh, this is a race, like this is great. But yeah, it was strange to be a staggered start. And I think I didn't know how many women had set off behind me or in front of me. I had absolutely no idea. And I ran past these women. They were like, oh, you're the first woman now. And I was like, oh, they don't know, who knows? Like, who knows? So I just kept going. And I had a really rough time, but like 27 to 30 miles. It was just, it was a real slog. And then I got to that aid station, and the aid man went, you are the first woman. I was like, oh, wow, okay, right, come on, Rosie, come on. So yeah, but yeah, strange, but I don't know, I added a different element to it, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and a great achievement, I guess, for the end of 2020, a year that was a bit strange for many reasons, with not many races. So
yeah, when I look back, actually, there's been some like real positives for me in my running in the last year. I wasn't even really running like 100 miles a month or anything like that. And then one of my friends was raising money for Pandas, which is a women's postnatal mental health charity, and she was running 100 miles in June. So I kind of did that with her, and that really triggered a lot for me in terms of my running going forward as well. So it's like all these little things, these little virtual events, and it's just all added up. And for me to be like a really positive year for running 2020.
That's so good to hear, because I know it's challenging for a lot of people in terms of all their races got put on hold, all their goals went out the window. But then I do think there were opportunities with these sort of virtual events, and people just made the most of it, which was really cool as well. Like the running club I'm part of, we're putting on lots, every week they'd come up with a different challenge for people to do and things like that, which was so good to see. And it just motivated people to get out there and push themselves. So it's really cool to hear that you had a really positive year. And how's your 2021 shaping up? How's that looking?
So I've had, all the while I should have the Howell Gales Marathon on the 9th of May. I still feel like that. I'm not sure if that will go ahead yet, but all being well, it seems like it is. I was really looking forward to, I was supposed to be running Kiel's Dark Skies Marathon.
Oh, nice.
I was really, I've heard so many good things about this race, and I was so looking forward to it. And that all looked like that was going ahead, and now it's not. And land registry and agency and all those things. There's so many factors, isn't there? Suddenly you realise actually a race isn't just turning up and running. There's so much into it. So that's a shame. And then I've got I'm going to run the Ullswater Way. Epic events. Ullswater Way 20 miler, the beginning of June. So I've got that, and then the Leighton 50 last weekend in July, and then hopefully fingers crossed. We'll be heading out to Chamonix last week in August. Mike has got a place to run in the MCC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That'd be a good way to finish the summer.
I know, and we just really hope we can take Alf to Chamonix for the first time, which would just be amazing.
It's a pretty epic place to go to. I can imagine as a kid, I'd have liked it out there, just with the huge mountains and things like that. Have you got anything after that, or is that it? That's kind of the race calendar through.
Yeah, I'll just see how everything goes up to then. There's the Cumbria Way 30 in September. A couple of my friends have signed up to the 73 mile. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if I never say never to any of these things.
No, exactly. There's plenty. There's plenty of time.
I also think like I've read a lot of books over the pandemic, and I've always been really interested by the Bob Graham. I don't think that's something that will happen in the next couple of years, but it is something that I would absolutely love to do. So whether the back end of year is just maybe getting out a little bit on that course and just doing some things, like asking you for some tips, and just like, I don't know. I think I'll just get up to the late and 50 and we'll go from there, really. You've got to think, do we want to have another, are we lucky enough to have another baby? Do we think about that? So I think we'll, focus on this bit at the minute, get to the late than 50, ball goes ahead, and then just go from there, really. Yeah,
no, sounds like a good plan. I mean, myself, I've been a bit reluctant to commit too much because I've had races from last year roll over to this year, and then I don't want to sign up to things this year and then end up with just like a back-to-back kind of race schedule that I then need to fit around family and other things like that. So it's tricky, but hopefully here's hoping we get a bit of a better summer this year. And having the lakes on your doorstep, definitely get out on that Bob Graham course and check that out. That's a great challenge to do.
I have to. I think that's maybe something of like a few years though. I feel like you got to really pay your dues to the Bob Graham, and like I want to, if I'm going to it, I really want to go into it hoping that I'm going to make that 24-hour mark. And I think that's maybe something for a few years down the line that I'll just build up, because I do really believe that your endurance just develops all the time with your age. And as I said before, my parents are in their 60s and they're running marathons and stuff now, and they've never done that before. So I think you just, if you believe you can do it, you just go out and give it a go.
Definitely. Totally agree. I think put your mind to it, train hard, and you can achieve it. Definitely. There's nothing stopping you. Look forward to hearing more about those adventures and seeing what you're up to on your Instagram. Is that the best place to see your running and exciting Lakeland pics?
Definitely Instagram. Instagram, Facebook. Instagram though.
What's your username on Instagram for anyone?
Rosie Holliday 85.
Cool.
I've also this year I've written some articles for Ultra Running World magazine as well. They've asked me to kind of do more things around like motherhood and pregnancy and running, but hopefully I'll be able to kind of build on that as my journey as a mother keeps progressing and things change. I've done that too, so awesome. You can check those out as well.
I'll pop those links in the podcast and YouTube notes as well for Ultra Running World magazine, so we'll get that linked up. And look forward to reading loads more about your journey and seeing how you progress and how far you go as well. Don't rule out that 73, did you say?
Yeah, 2 of my friends have signed up already, and I worried it could be a bit of a peer pressure situation could happen, and before I know it.
It's always the way.
you just feel like you don't want to miss out, don't you? That's, you know, oh, I don't want to miss out on running 73 miles. But it's
Exactly.
like that. You feel, yeah.
I know. I see people doing crazy things, and I'm like, I really want to do that, even though it's like running 400 miles or something. But
Yeah.
you know, that doesn't appeal to anyone, does it? But it does. It does to the ultra running world, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Rosie, thanks so much for coming on and telling us about your journey into running and running through pregnancy and your crazy challenges that you're taking on, and you know, the way that you're pushing yourself. It's really cool to hear, and sort of get that insight that hopefully will inspire many people as well who are on a very similar journey. So no, thanks so much for your time.
No problem. Thanks very much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
No, you're welcome. And for anyone who wants to know more about what we're up to, trailruns.co.uk is the website. There's some runs on there now as things start to get back to normal. And you can follow us on Instagram at Trailruns UK and Facebook Trailruns UK. And we'll be back soon with some more running stories on the trails. Thank you.